Hello, everyone. Namaste. My name is Geri Habstritt. I'm an Avesa quantum healer, medical intuitive, self-ascendant intuitive counselor, and the host of Light, Laughter, and Lattes. Welcome, everyone. Um, so today's topic, and I'm going to jump right in, is about emotions and how holding on to your emotions can hold other people back. And this is whether they have passed on or whether they are with you in person. Regardless, those unresolved energies can hold everyone back. And so I'll share with you a little bit about this. First, I want to go through the grief cycle. This is a natural cycle that happens anytime we lose someone, and it affects everyone. And we go through it at different levels depending on how close you were to maybe the loss of a person, or there's several variables of it, but it's something we go through, and it's not even the loss of a person. It can be the loss of a system. It could be the loss of a dream. Any of these things that we've had a lot of energy around, that we've had a lot of love um, with. It could be the planning, maybe a house that you've built or something. Any kind of loss at all. It doesn't have to be a person. So the first step, or the first stage we usually go into, we're first in the normal functioning stage. Then there's this moment of shock and denial over the loss. Recently, someone was deceased in our close spiritual group, and many of the members said they felt surreal, like this just happened. It doesn't feel real, which would be a level of shock or denial. And there's some energies around this. So it'd be similar, like avoidance, confusion, fear, numbness, blame would be a part of that. Then the next part of that cycle from shock and denial goes to anger. And anger is extremely common as part of the grief cycle. Anger is just unmet expectations. So if you've had plans with this person, if you were expecting this person to be in your life in a certain way, and all of a sudden they're not there anymore, these are expectations that haven't been met, and there's going to be anger around it. Maybe anger at God. That's an extremely common thing that happens during a loss. Like, God, why did you take this person from me? Or it could be, any kind of a loss of an organization or whatever. What kind of God would allow this experience to happen, right? So that's a normal expression of the grief cycle is anger. From there, it moves to a level of depression and detachment, some overwhelm with the feeling of blahs, lack of energy, um, kind of some unhappiness. And then from there, that's kind of like the bottom of it, and it starts moving back up again to some dialogue and bargaining, reaching out to others, sharing the story, wanting to talk about the person. And then it moves up to acceptance, and then back up to returning to a meaningful life again. And this is the cycle that we cycle through, and it's um, the normal cycle of grief. And so everyone goes through it at a different level, and you can't say what is the right amount for each person. But what does happen is, if you get stuck somewhere, which is easy to do, if you get stuck in the cycle and you're holding on to, let's say, anger or pain or whatever it may be, even though that person has passed, they're energetically still tied to you. And there's a cord of energy that's created that literally holds that person from moving on. And I know we just lost our spiritual teacher, Sri Ram Ka. And one of the first messages that he brought back to our group was, I will be in pain as long as you're still in pain. And so that was extremely enlightening for me because as a medical intuitive, I'm constantly guiding people through forgiveness practices and letting go of those traumas and those pains. Because as you hold on to them, you are tied to the person that you're sharing that emotion with through an energetic cord. And I can share someone close in my family lost someone 12 years ago and is still stuck in the anger place of the grief cycle and has kind of disconnected from a lot of the family. And I'm sure she's not aware that that anger is not allowing the person that passed to move on in his life in the afterlife. It's keeping that person attached to the earth plane. So it's necessary if we want to free ourselves and free others to move through this grief cycle in a good and healthy way. And what that looks like, I will go forward with it. I wanted to share a couple more examples. I know when I went through my divorce, we were given some pamphlets at divorce school. They made us go through a class, a divorce class in Minnesota. And there was a paragraph in there about um, sharing with me in the pamphlet to let go of the anger around divorce in a healthy way because it creates literally a cord to you and the person that you're angry with. Now they didn't use those words, but they said it in a way that described exactly that. So there is awareness around this, and it's a real thing. I know deceased people who have come back afterwards and tried to encourage someone that they had an unresolved matter with to forgive them. So maybe a person was abusive and then they passed away, and the person that's still present on the planet hasn't forgiven them for the abuse. They're still tied to each other. And so I know experiences where the deceased person has come back and, please, please forgive me. Please forgive me. I can't move on until this is resolved. So, extremely, extremely powerful to have this awareness with anything unresolved in your life around family members or friends. You want to be in a place where you can just kind of look at everything, no matter what has happened, with a certain level of acceptance, and there's not a um, grit still there. If you can still feel or sense a grit, then you know that you're still hanging on to a certain amount of energy around that that's affecting you and the other person. Okay, so how do we move forward? So there's several ways of moving forward. I mean, some people don't want to look at the sadness or look at the pain, so they move forward very quickly and start getting on with their life. Now, this is a sense of denial. It's not healing the energy, and that denied energy will stay in the body. The sadness will stay in the body and get tucked away and will cause issues in the body. They always do. These unresolved emotional energy are tied to chakras, are tied to organs, and create dis-ease in the body. So you don't want to move on too fast with denial, but you don't want to swim in it either. So there's this balance between moving through things, looking at it, crying, allowing yourself to express, having the temper tantrum, grabbing that pillow and swinging it over your head and yelling, screaming at God, whatever you have to do, and then moving on, but not being in a state of denial. So, some of the things that you can do. Journaling is wonderful. You can sit and write, pretend you're writing a letter to the person that has passed. You can burn the letter afterwards. If you're having a conflict with someone who's still alive, you can write up the letter and share everything that you'd want to say, and then you can burn it. Or maybe you even want to mail it. I have found if there's a lot of grit around something, my first letter will be a whole bunch of anger, and then if I let it sit for a day or so and I come back and write the letter again, it will be a completely different letter with different energy, because in the first letter, I got rid of all of that anger energy so that I could be in a better space when I write the second one. And maybe it'll take a third and fourth letter, but regardless, you're looking at it. Something else that you can do is a good journaling prompt would be, as I move forward, my new life without this person looks like this. And then start journaling about how you are going to do things differently, how you're going to move forward in a new way without this person in the experience. Now you're actively looking at it. You're looking at really the expectations that weren't met around that person being there. You're looking, which is the anger, you're looking at that, and now you're creating forward in a healthy new way. EFT is wonderful for this. If you've experienced trauma with anyone, it's emotional freedom technique or tapping, and you're tapping the meridians on the body that are holding the energy of that issue, and you're acknowledging the experience with love, which is freeing up the energy in those organs, in those chakras, in those meridians. I do something that with clients, and it is amazing to watch people who have held on to abuse for years and years and years, and in 1 hour, the energy around it is literally gone. It's a complete freedom. So it's very powerful. You can learn it probably online. If it's easy things, you can do it by yourself. If it's challenging things like a traumatic event, you're going to want a guide to help you through it, because it'll be hard to get it all without someone supporting you on it. Um, some other things you can do. Um, I want to share an example. Years ago, I had to leave my children where I lived in Minnesota, and I moved to Boise, Idaho. When I first got here, I couldn't even put up the photographs of them because it hurt so bad. The pain was too much. Eventually, I learned that, wait a minute, this is not getting me where I want to be by not looking at it. So I started forcing myself to put up the photos. And yes, I had to cry every time I walked by them and looked at them, but that was helping to heal the issue. Then I decided I was going to get a job substitute teaching in the grade level that my son would have been in, so that every day I was forced to go to a job and sit there and be in the classroom of the age group that he was in. And at first, I would have to leave during lunchtime and go in my car and cry. Then I would come after the end of the day, I would come back out and I would do it again. I had to do this daily, and it was not a lot of fun, but it helped me heal. And as I looked at these things, as I looked at the pain, his pain went away as well. As I forgave myself for leaving, he forgave me as well. As I let go of the judgment, he let go of the judgment of me as well. And so these cords of energy are created between you and the person. And when one of you does the work to free them, it frees in both of you. So looking at these emotions are a great way to free yourself and free the person that you're having them around. And maybe we have these experiences so that we learn that experience. We learn how connected we are with each other and how our energy affects everyone. And through love and self acceptance, we really heal ourselves and everyone that we come in contact with. So let me take a little peek here at my notes, um, see if I've got everything. I do want to share that even if you've experienced a loss through a death, no one is ever gone completely. People just transition, they leave their bodies, but their soul still exists. And you can still have a relationship with that person. It's just going to be in a different way. I learned this several years ago when I lost my brother. He died suddenly at the age of 24 in an accident. He fell backwards off of a scaffolding, got catapulted off, and ruptured his spleen. And I just did a shout out like, Steve, where are you? Where are you? I know that you're somewhere. And I've got all these religious beliefs that say this. There's spiritual people that say that, but I really want to know, show me truth. What's going on here? And he came back to me. He came back to me several times in ways that were so clear that I knew without a doubt that it was him. And once I reached this place of acceptance, and actually, he was the one that assisted me to catapult my spiritual journey because I thought, wow, if this is true and possible, what else is possible that I'm not aware of? And it opened me up to a whole new way of being. But then I was able to have journeys with him in my dream state. And I've been able to do that with other people that have passed as well. So, it's just it's no one's death is a complete loss. It's just a relationship in another way, and in a way that you probably didn't expect it. So I'm going to pull a cards of clarity right now because that is something I just enjoy doing. And we're going to see who all is watching this and see what card's calling. Ascended Master 12, Serapis Bay. That's fitting. The time to be free from all addiction is at hand. Sound the trumpets, for you are a global peace warrior. Stand back from your personal interactions and witness the larger picture with detached marvel. Imagine yourself at 10,000 feet looking at the events of your life and those around you. Can you see the role that addiction has played? Can you be present to release the addiction of all beings in body? Experience as attachment to this world and how we experience it. Yes, this is a big question and you are ready. Your mind will not move you through this experience. There's only one choice, release it. Every time your mind tries to control you, return to 10,000 feet and smile, then release it again. You're ready to be the embodiment of peace, freed from all addictions. Radiating and holding this peace personally and globally serves you and the all. That's very fitting. So I know part of the addiction is our expectations and how life should be and how we should experience it. And so constantly trying to let that go and go with the flow and be and continue to create in a good way. So I hope you all have a fabulous week. Namaste.